All right, all right. What is up, everybody? So it's been a minute since I've last streamed, but I'm just gonna kind of jump into things and just start talking as people jump in. I should have grabbed a water, and I did not grab a water, but that's okay. Anyways, so today is going to be a really fun time because we're gonna talk about some like basic general theory stuff. If you guys have questions, just let me know. Because I'm kind of going to be talking for a little bit. I've got about 40-ish minutes before I got to start teaching again. And I thought that maybe hopping on here would be a good, I don't know, just a good extra thing to do after the video that I made. I want to talk about some of the stuff in the video, theory-wise, and just answer some general questions. So don't feel, so please ask questions as I keep talking. Maybe I'll pull up my video and I'll talk about some more extra things with it. So the first thing that I kind of want to just make sure that people understand, because I know I talk about, some other stuff like modes, and I'm going to talk about harmonic minor and the modes in harmonic minor, and all that good stuff. And it's going to be a good time. Got a question. How do I create jazz chords? Okay. Well, so jazz chords, just with not talking about progressions, jazz chords specifically really has to do with you adding chord extensions, okay? So jazz is a very broad term, right? There's a lot of different subgenres of jazz. There's swing, there's fusion, there's what is it called? Like smooth, that kind of thing. There's a lot of really awesome stuff, but like you got to add chord extensions to your typical progressions. Now jazz has very interesting chord progressions. Like let's take a 2-5-1 for example, and let's say we're in the key of like A minor or something. So you play your 2 chord, which would be a B diminished chord, then you play your 5 chord E7 or something like that, then you play your 1, which is A minor. We'd have to spice that up, and we'd have to start doing things a little bit cooler. Like instead of doing just a diminished chord, maybe we do like a half diminished chord, or maybe we change that to a 7 chord or something, or just something that sounds a little bit spicier, you know what I'm saying? And then maybe with the 5 chord, instead of doing just E7, maybe we do minor 7, or maybe we do E7 flat 5 or something. Like you have to really look at chord extensions, okay? Because just doing root third fifth isn't going to cut it in jazz. You got to do like root third, skip the fifth, do a 7th, add a 9th, maybe add an 11th, add a 13, add a sharp 13, like add a sharp 11. Like there's so many crazy cool extensions that you can do with jazz music, and the beauty about jazz is you can get away with breaking the rules a lot like that. So yeah, chord extensions, it's up. Anyways, yeah, let's see. So a couple of other just general things that I know people have been asking me is, the first thing is the harmonic minor modes. Okay, that's the first thing that I'm going to talk about. But again, if you have questions, ask. Okay, so I want you guys to really start thinking about harmonic minor for a second. Like let's take a harmonic minor for example. Okay, so that'd be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Now if we make that G a G sharp, we have harmonic minor. Hip hip hooray. Okay, that's all very easy. How do we use modes with harmonic minor though? Well, it's the same concept, right? Where we start on a different note, but then we end up trying to kind of tonicize that note. So for example, if Aeolian sharp 7 is our 1, our next one is going to be, I believe it's called Locrian flat 6 or something like that. I gotta look it up, but basically means that we're starting on B, so we play B, C, D, E, F, G sharp. Yeah, I got that right. Locrian sharp 6, A, B. Okay, so Locrian sharp 6 is such a cool scale. So let me show you this stuff. Modes of the harmonic minor scale. The Locrian natural 13 is what you can call it. But let's check out this article here. So we're talking about jazz a little bit, and we're talking about some more advanced stuff, but it's all fun, right? So let's do this here. Let's make sure you guys can see. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, so there we go. Harmonic minor scale, yada yada. It's just using this kind of stuff. Locrian natural 6. Apologies, I said that wrong. So it's not Locrian flat 6, it's Locrian natural 6. But you can see here 1 flat, 2 flat, 3, 4, flat 5, 6, flat 7. That's a lot of flats, right? So it's almost like, let's see, that's a really weird scale. B, C, D, E, F, G sharp. It's kind of like a double harmonic minor sort of sound. But yeah, that's like one of the coolest ones in my opinion, this one right here. But yeah, like it lays them out here. The third scale degree would be Ionian sharp 5. And a lot of people get confused with the names. I promise you, every single thing in terms of like names are there for a reason, and usually the answer is in the name. So let me give you, if somebody says, hey bro, play me an Ionian sharp 5 mode, you're like, what the frick are you talking about? But really, just play the major scale but raise the 5th. Or if they say, hey man, play me a Dorian sharp 4, it's like, okay, play the Dorian mode but raise the 4th scale degree. Okay, if they say, hey, play me Phrygian dominant, okay, what does that mean? Well, that would mean that you are playing what? You start on a, what, if we were in A minor, you'd basically start on the E, F, G sharp, so you'd have to raise the 3rd basically, and also still raise that G to a G sharp. Okay, so yeah, that is pretty much how the modes work. And every single name that you give for harmonic minor, there's a reason for why the names are called that. So let me know if that makes sense. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of harmonic minor for you. So talking a little bit more about a couple of extra things, because I know the big thing that I talked about was the modes and stuff. There's a couple more like weird stuff that I didn't get the chance to mention with the video. Here, I'll post the link. This is a really good article. I really like this article a lot. Yeah, so there are a couple other things in that video. Like, so first thing is modulation. So I talk so much about modulation, and like that's great. Like I'm happy that everybody's understanding modulation at least a little bit, but like I need you guys to be able to do it. I need you guys to be able to like modulate really, really well and really, really easily. Okay, and the best way that we can do that is by using pivot notes or pivot chords, secondary dominance and secondary diminished. Okay, if you are really weird when you are composing, you can do anything you want basically in composing and stuff, but for right now I want you guys to really hone in on your secondary dominance and your secondary diminished chords. The next lesson video that I'm going to make is actually on Neapolitan chords, then it's going to be secondary diminished chords, while I'm also doing a couple more docs in the works. So there's a lot of videos that are coming out soon, which I'm really excited about, but the big ordeal is secondary dominant chords by far are the easiest way to modulate, by absolute far, because here's the thing. Like I said in my dominant chord video, dominant chords are used to create tension, to tonicize certain things, okay? Let me say that again. Dominant chords are used to tonicize things because it creates tension, okay? If you guys understand that, just keep following me for a second. When you use a dominant chord, like a regular one, which is a 5 chord, like let's say in C major, you'd play a G chord. Make it a dominant 7, you make it a G7, it's even more dissonance, okay? Or maybe more just tension and not as much dissonance as a diminished chord. But you can play a secondary dominant chord and tonicize other notes in the scale. So if you're playing a C major scale, why not play a 5 of 3 so that way you can get into the key of E minor? So you'd basically play a B7. That would be a 5 of 3, right? So you got to start thinking of things in terms of that. If you listen to some of your favorite stuff, like I'm going to show you a piece here in a second of modulation that I was working on with a student of mine that I am loving so much. But I'm going to show you kind of how things are modulated. So Beethoven is very, very, very good at modulating. Now, in the Baroque era, there was modulation, but it wasn't as chaotic as when the classical, the Romantic era, like especially really started going ham on the modulation. And then, of course, post-Romantic and all the atonal stuff, they did whatever the hell they wanted. But with like just generalized like modulation, like with classical music and with Baroque music, secondary dominance and secondary diminished stuff is where you want to be at, okay? So let me give you an example of this. So we're going to listen to some Moonlight Sonata. We're going to listen to the first movement, okay? And we're going to look at the score, and I'm going to show you, let's do some score. And we're going to show you where these modulation parts are a little bit, okay? So let's check this video out here. No ad. Wow. All right, so let's check this out. Okay, I'm sorry if you're here to enjoy the music, but I'm going to keep on talking while this is going on, and I'm also going to full screen this so that way we can see the whole thing. Let's see. Heck yeah. All right, so what do we have first? What key are we in? 4 sharps. You should know this like right off the bat. E major or C sharp minor, right? 4 sharps. Okay, and obviously we have a C sharp minor triad right here in second inversion, right? Because the G sharp is at the bottom. Okay, we have what? An A chord. So that's a 6 chord. Ooh, what chord is this? So we have an A, we have a D, and then an F sharp. So if we have we have an A, a D natural, and an F sharp. So that's a little bit of a weird way of playing a D major chord, right? So like a 5 of 5 chord maybe. But yeah, that's what that is. So see, then we have our actual dominant chord in our key, right? So let me go back to that to make sure you heard that. So right here is what? It's a D chord, okay? It's a D major chord, right? A, D, and then F sharp, right? Now, here's the thing. That is, technically speaking, if you're in the key of C sharp minor, you're playing a D major chord. Is it a 5 of 5 chord, or is it something else? Let me repeat that. A D major chord, because we all know that the note D major is not in the scale, right? So what is it? It's a Neapolitan chord. Do you know how I figured that out? The best thing that gave it away for me was right here. There's an F sharp in the bass, and Neapolitan chords are usually labeled as N6. Okay, that's the easiest way to figure out. If you see something that's labeled as N6, that's a Neapolitan chord. But if you see a flat 2 chord in first inversion, oh, come on. That's what's giving it away, right? So a Neapolitan chord is a flat 2 chord, okay? Let's keep going. Okay, when you hear some junk like this, not calling it junk, but when you hear this guy right here, what note is this? That's a B sharp, okay, which is totally legit. You can call it B sharp, because at a certain point when you have so many sharps, you're gonna have to start using those weird accidentals. But taking a look here, what are the notes? We have G sharp, B sharp, okay, and then we have what? F sharp. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. In the bass too, we have a G sharp, okay? We have a C natural, we can call it that, or just a B sharp. And then we have an F sharp, okay? That's a 7 chord. That's a dominant 7 chord, G sharp 7. This is also really important. Look at this right here, okay? So we have a D sharp, and then okay, this is super important. A D sharp, that's totally fine, yada yada. Because remember last time we had a D natural from the Neapolitan chords, so they wrote that in, which is very nice of them. Look kind of over here. We have a C sharp that goes to a B sharp. Okay, this is super important because this is still our dominant chord right here. We skipped the dominant chord here for like 2 seconds, but right here we have the dominant chord. But what is it when we have a C sharp in a G sharp 7 chord. So let me repeat that. We're playing a dominant chord in C sharp minor, which is G sharp. Okay? G sharp 7. Our notes should be what? G sharp, C, right? And then what? D sharp should be our 5th, and then our 7th, you can throw an F sharp in there, which is what is in there, I believe. No F sharp in there, but that's fine. So why is there a C sharp in there? G, A, B, C, that's the 4. What do we call it when we add a 4, but then it resolves to the 3? It's called a sus chord, right? A sus 4 chord. All right, let's hear that again. Does that kind of make sense? The whole chord progression was like a bunch of diatonic stuff, right? Like we had that 6 chord, we had some other chords in there, and then we had our Neapolitan chord, and then over here we hit our dominant chord, and then we hit our sus chord that resolved to the dominant chord. All right, let's keep going. Okay, that whole thing, you should just be able to hear that that's just a triad. You can even just see it. It's just an ascending triad of the root. Of the tonic. Okay, and you land on a G sharp. It's very Chopin kind of sounding, landing on that note. Ooh, goodness gravy. It's like really, really dark sounding right there. Okay, so again, like whenever I'm not even like looking at the piano grid. You can totally look at the piano grid too, since they're nice enough to give it to you. But I mean, yeah, pretty much like if you want to dissect these chords a little bit, what do we have here? Let's make sure that we've got this heavy bass note. Ooh, super, super dark sounding, right? Because we still have our G sharp here. We still have our B sharp technically, which is C. And then what do we have over here? We have a B sharp again, just down an octave, right? I'm not very good with bass clef, but I can get the job done. But yeah, and then we're just kind of going into our dominant chord. What always gives it away is the B sharp. Back to C sharp. Okay. Still just more of the same stuff, right? Instead right here it looks like we have like an F sharp minor chord. Nice major chord right here. What do we got? E major chord. Nice. The relative key. Do you see how it's already starting to sound a lot warmer and stuff? Like the 3 chord is like often known as like a really weak chord, but it can get the job done here. So like if you look at it, we have a first inversion G sharp, right? Everything else is E major. G, B, E, G, B, E, G sharp, right? But then right here, it looks like we have the F sharp, and then we have just kind of this like ascending line of A, B, D. Let's see what this chord is. Very, very pretty sounding, right? And I'm trying to figure out what chord he was aiming to get at here, because this might be a passing tone here, because A, B, D, A, B, D, could just be a D major chord. Oh no, let's see, B. Is it B, D, F, A? That's probably what it is, right? A B7 chord. Excuse me. You should already hear, like, whenever you hear things getting really weird, that's a telltale that you're modulating, especially when you start having more accidentals. Like we're being introduced this G natural like everywhere, this F natural. You can probably pinpoint like what key we're in, because you're playing this E major chord all the time. Now we're playing E minor, which is the parallel minor, so a little chord borrowing. Wow, this is crazy. Now we're getting some dominant stuff. Sounds really nice. Now C major. What the hell? Now we're getting some even other weirder stuff. Let's see. Make sure you guys can hear me okay. I'm trying to figure out what chord he was aiming to get at. Because my auto stop is on for some reason. How do I get rid of that? I don't know. But anyways, I hope this is kind of starting to make sense of how I'm figuring out like where we are now. Because it sounds like we're modulated into E minor. Oh, I'm sorry, B minor. Let's figure out how we got there. It's this right here, right? This A sharp. There's your pivot spot, okay? Does that kind of make sense of how I figured that out? Pivot notes is key, okay? And he did it at like pretty much the perfect time because we already got enough of C sharp minor. We got a little bit of E minor stuff. And now we're in B minor. That's relatively close. Oh, excuse me. But again, like that's should kind of give you an indication of how it is, right? So, yeah, that in a nutshell is how modulation works. So you need your pivot note, okay? So, yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions on more modulation stuff, but that's kind of the general gist of modulation. Let's read some wiki stuff. All right, let's go up here. So, modulation is the change from one tonality or tonal center to another. This may or may not be accompanied by a change in key signature, yada, yada, yada. In a key modulation. Modulation articulates and creates a structure or form of many pieces. So check this out. This is, what is this? Play. Do we just modulate to G major? Pretty cool. I don't know what specific piece that was, unless that was something that they just, yeah, it's just a random example. Let's get some examples. Let's get some Chopin. So this is like the best way that I can show you guys this, honestly. Like right here. Oh, we were in C minor. Excuse me, I'm a little tired, but we were in C minor. But we modulated into A flat, right? Because A flat is the relative minor of F, so we're having some extra accidentals in there. And then it looks like we got back into C minor over here, specifically at the end. So let's listen. That's awesome. Is this is not the funeral march, is it? It kind of sounds like it. Prelude in C minor. I don't know. Guess not. It sounds just like it though. Is this not the funeral march? Let's see. Chopin Prelude in C minor. Yeah, it is the funeral march. Okay, I thought I was going crazy. This is like one of the best pieces like ever for piano. Like it's so good. It's outrageously good. Like it's just like some of the coolest sounding stuff ever. I'll show you guys some of this stuff. Funeral march. Sheet music. A second. The key is like not used often, but it's awesome. Anyone know what key it's in? If you haven't guessed it, it's B flat minor. See, the thing is like when you group chords with the third on the top, it sounds extra like dark and creepy. So just a good piece of advice for you guys who are writing. If you ever want to just sound really like cool and creepy, put the third on the top. I don't know. It just sounds really nice. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so tired. But yeah. If you guys have any other questions, let me know because I'm probably gonna hop off here soon because I have a long day of teaching ahead of me and I'm getting kind of sleepy for some reason. So, but I just wanted to hop on here and give you guys just, I don't know, just some cool extra modulation help and all that good stuff. But yeah, if that's kind of the last set of stuff that I want to talk about, I guess I will hop off. So I'm gonna, again, I know I keep saying this, but I am genuinely trying to stream as much as I can throughout the week just because it's easy, it's fun to connect with you guys. And yeah, I'll timestamp this and I'll see you guys next time.